everybody, it's Lyss with Lowdown with Lyss. Okay, so August has been a shit show. um, so as you can see that we are nearing the end of August, and I have not put out a Lowdown with Lyss at all. Was starting as good intentions, just miss the mark. We had busy weekends, and then I got sick, and it was just not good. August has been, again, like a shit show. So we're just gonna cover all of August. And then maybe I should have an episode next week to fill out the end of August. So with that, we will be covering 14 books. So hopefully this isn't gonna be too much. Honestly, also because of all the sickness, I probably forgotten a lot of details, even more so than normal. So we're just gonna fucking wing it, okay? So I finished the Boleyn Traitor by Philippa Gregory. She is a very well-known historical fiction author. She does a lot of Plantagenet and Tudors. So when you think of like the other Boleyn girl, like the White Queen, some of those series on HBO Max, honestly, have been based off of her books. And this was obviously not about Anne Boleyn, but her cousin. I can't remember her name, but basically, when Anne Boleyn became queen, her cousin, whatever, regardless, because it was all interconnected. I thought this book was really, really good. It went beyond what we know of like the traditional story with, again, like the other Boleyn girl and like coming into power and stuff. This takes us through Anne Boleyn's reign, but then it also takes us basically through the rest of, if you've seen the musical Six, like divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived, takes us through the next monarchy. So, of course, Catherine of Aragon being the first queen and her being divorced and thus creating like the divide from the Catholic Church with Anne Boleyn, and then Anne Boleyn being beheaded. So, like, we get this perspective of Anne Boleyn's like beheading and like the events leading up to it. And then we get into, is it the other Catherine Howard, immediately after that, when she died in childbirth. And then the other two queens again being divorced because this is Anne of Cleves, because she wasn't as hot as whatever. But in the book it's some other stuff. And then, no, this one's the other Kay Howard, because she was a little bit more scandalous, and she gets beheaded. And then the last one outlives King Henry. And like, again, from this character's perspective, we see the different different reigns of queens and why she is there in like this like network of spies. So it was really, really good. It's historical fiction. Obviously I rated that as a 5 stars. It was fabulous. Okay, then we get into A Secret History by Donna Tart. I'm just gonna say this up front. I rated it as a 3-star. It was good. It was just really fucking long, and I didn't think for a really good reason. It was 559 pages. When you're listening to an audiobook, it's like 30, in between like 25 to 30 hours. And honestly, I didn't think there was a lot that was necessary from it. It follows this main cast of characters. And you end up finding out that like this cast of characters has committed a murder, and then they've covered it up because they're all so deeply entrenched in like learning Greek, and like they wanted to have a bacchanal and like see the god Bacchus and like and Dionysus and like all this other stuff. And so like they're very like religiously culty. There's a little bit of incest in there. It's like so strange. Not good enough to be that long. If that makes sense. Again, 3 stars. I mean, it was interesting. I think if you cut out a lot of like the filler stuff, like nothing needed to be explained in that much detail that was gonna like mean something later on, if that makes sense. Like usually when there's a lot of detail, you think that, oh, the author's doing this for foreshadowing, we're gonna come back to it. And then we just didn't, and I just thought that was a waste. But some people like that. Then we get into it's only a little bit, but it felt like coming back into an era. I really love the Arthurian legends. I really like that era. Babylon, Avalon, maybe not Babylon, but Avalon and Merlin and Morgana and just all of that jazz. Morgan Le Fay, obviously, because Morgana and stuff. So the first one is The Lost Book of Lancelot. If you like Song of Achilles, this is the same thing, just in a different font. And it's in the Arthurian legend style. So you get Lancelot, who grows up and he realizes basically he's attracted to this person. I'm not gonna name names, but he's attracted to this person, and then he kind of realizes that. But then he grows like to weave in the Arthurian legend of Guinevere and Lancelot. Like you realize that Guinevere basically has like a friendship with King Arthur, and she's doesn't want to be with him anymore. So she befriends, it's a whole 100% platonic relationship with Lancelot, and he basically helps her sneak out of her marriage basically and stuff. But then you again just dealing with what it means to like the members of the same sex and just that time period, and this hasn't been like retold like this. So I just thought it was fabulous. I gave this a 5. This is by John Glynn, by the way. Fabulous. I want like 100 more. Just take my money. And I say I was in an era because I literally just John Glynn made me love stepping back into like the Arthurian time period so much that it inspired me to finish a series that I just had been putting off. It's a very, very good series. I don't know why. I just hadn't been in the mood for it, but this got me in the mood. So I finished Storm over Camelot by Sophie Keetch. This is in the Morgan Le Fay series, and this shows like how it kind of rewrites the tale. Obviously, it's not Arthurian retelling. Morgan Le Fay is in this reiteration is Arthur's sister, and they get separated, and like you see that through the first book, and then the second, and like stuff happens in the second book. This being the third book, being the ending to the series, it kind of wraps everything up. I thought it was wrapping up really early on, and I think it was probably about. Sorry, I've been sick and my eyes itching me, so sorry you see a lot of eye touching today. Sorry. But it wraps everything up, and I thought we were finished, and then I realized we had like 40% more book, and I was like, where the fuck are we gonna go? And then we went, and I was like, oh damn, this is crazy. In this side of the retelling, Guinevere does not like Morgan Le Fay at all. And Arthur has, and in this retelling, Guinevere is absolutely obsessed with Lancelot. And like, there's so many different layers, and it would take longer for me to talk more in detail about this book because we would have to talk about the first two and everything that has been set up. But Morgan Le Fay has, at least up to this point in the series, her love of her life is dead, and she knows that Arthur killed him, and that Arthur was like, yeah, he deserved to die, he was a traitor. And that myth gets, or that telling to her gets turned on its head, and you kind of find out that, oh, that wasn't the case, and then there was magic and all this stuff. And then Morgan Le Fay kind of gets involved with Lancelot a little bit of Stockholm syndrome from the both of them. But Lancelot absolutely is obsessed with Guinevere and like this whole thing, but it is so well told, and the story brings back elements from the first two books, and it was just such a good ending. And a wonderful retelling in the Arthurian legend. I absolutely love it. I gave that a 5 stars as well. Moving on to a book that kind of really disappointed me. Adversary to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Maehrer. So she has done the Assistant to the Villain series, and like I think it was the first 3 that were like pretty good, and this is obviously be number 4. I thought this was where we were gonna end, and so I expected a lot of wrap up and stuff, and that was not the case with this. We got a lot of run around. We did get a little bit more lore, which was nice, but there's another book. I'm like, for fucking why? Why are we dragging this out? Like, again, the characters are good, but we don't need this constant jerk. And I thought with the last book leading into this number 4 that we were gonna like get answers and like finish it, and like that was gonna be it, and that was gonna be great, because that seems like enough, right? We're already 4 books in. Like, how long is this gonna go? At least to 5. And that's pretty, it makes me not even want to read the next book because of how this book ended, which is not great. Like, she writes good books. It's just that this is continuously going on and we don't need it. I gave it a 3. I was just not impressed. I was like, we are going like very cyclical at this point. It's like, and again, and she writes the beginning and the end so good that it just sucks that you have to survive the middle. Like, I mean, again, the middle's good. There's good stuff. It's just, it's so dry because I feel like we've done this before and we've done this before. And every time we find something, something else happens. And I mean, obviously that's the nature of a book, right? But like, I feel like we've had the same retelling over the same 4 books. It's just like, I've read the same 4 books just like almost from a different perspective. It's pissing me off. So I gave that a 3. Then we get to The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. So this is a very acclaimed book. I'm gonna tell you right up front, I gave it a 3. It's very middle of the road for me. It was good, and I can see why it has gotten that much acclaim, but I really wanted to like this book because it was so classic, I guess. We can get into the classics another time because I fucking hate classics, and that's a whole another thing. Thank you, academic institutions. Thank you, elitism, classism, racism. I hate that shit. But it's about this young Black girl who realizes that like her life is not the same as those around her, really, and that she thinks that she would have a better time if she had bluer eyes. Um, and again, that's very sad. It's not even a coming of age. I mean, I guess it is coming of age in a way, but it's heavy, and maybe I wasn't ready for heavy at that point in the month, and that's probably why I gave it a 3. The next book I read was Hidden Valley Road: Inside the Mind of an American Family. This is by Robert Kolker. This was a nonfiction book about this family in, was it Utah? Honestly, I can't remember. This family has had nearly all the men in this family, which was like, I want to say like 12 kids. It was like a lot of children. But all the men in this family have had schizophrenia, and it's about like their struggles as a family, like as a large family, to get help and all this stuff. But it's also about how that family has contributed a lot to science and the understanding of schizophrenia. It's very dark, it's very heavy. And then a spoiler alert, like you get to the end and it's just like, yes, they contributed a lot to the understanding of schizophrenia, but at the same time they didn't, because it's been very difficult to like analyze like where that gene is, if it even is a gene, and how to like fix it. So it's a whole thing. I gave it a 3 as well. I gave a lot of 3s out this go around. Maybe it was just because I was sick and I was just like over the books and I probably shouldn't have been reading them. But yeah. The next book I read was Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, and this came because I watched an interview of there's this guy who does interviews, and he always gives like book recs. Sorry, he gives books 2 stars, and sometimes they give him recommendations in return. And this was a Zendaya recommendation of Giovanni's Room. Baby girl, are you coming up to see me? Sorry, my girl cat Cece is right here, and she's clawing her way up into the chair. If she gets all the way up, I'll show you her. But this is about a young man who is growing up in France, and he realizes that he really likes men, and it's about his struggle with that because it's not like obviously looked upon highly in that time period. What time period? I can't remember. But he wants more for himself and for his love interest, Giovanni. But it just isn't happening. He's not getting money and things like that. This is Cecilia, by the way. See, Mrs. Cece. You want to say hi to the people? She doesn't really like being held, so I'll just put it back down. But then you come find out through like 70% of the way through the book that he's actually, I guess, engaged. He's got a lady fiance who's been doing something, and she finally comes back to France, and he goes back to her and kind of puts Giovanni back into like this sequestered secret part of his life. Um, and because he thinks that he should be with this girl. So it's a lot of growing up, it's a lot of understanding about like who you are as a person, a lot of understanding about sexuality, and it was good. It just didn't kind of break any ground for me, which is also why I gave that a 3. I'm telling you, I have a lot of 3s this go around. The next book is Between the Lines by Haley Cass. So again, this was a NetGalley book. This doesn't come out until next year, I believe, either April or February timeframe. But I thought it was fabulous. This is, I think, not, it's not my first sapphic book, but it is a first sapphic smut book, if that makes sense. I've had sapphic romances I've read before, but this was like more graphic, I guess. I hadn't had a lot of sex scenes in the previous ones. It was like a very fade to black, very YA-esque, or like it just wasn't important to the plot. This one is heavily involved. But I thought it was amazing. I thought it was a lot about just life and how things like don't work out and like some things do, how to get over loss, how to get over grief. I do think that there were a couple plot points that like we could have delved deeper into, but maybe it just wasn't as necessary. I just thought we would go over them because they seemed really big to one of the characters, but we just didn't cover it. That still didn't detract from the overall story from like the main characters, their growth, their understanding, their communication. It was very realistic and very good. Also the smut was like top tier. I thought it was amazing. So I give that a 5 stars. Check that out next year. This next one was a reread, again because Sarah first time read The Infernal Devices. I started it, and I obviously needed to finish it, so this was me reading Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is the 3rd installment of The Infernal Devices. It kind of wraps up everything. The one thing I want to say about this one is that I think Cassandra Clare cocked out. I think she didn't want to get rid of some characters. And again, I think she had written this like during the time frame of the Mortal Instruments. So obviously there's a lot of crossover, and like this sets the way for the things that happen in the Mortal Instruments. However, there was I guess like a why choose moment. Like our main character Tessa got to live out both lives. And when I read this for the first time, I was like, oh yes. But reading this as an adult, you're like, so she got to live one life with Will, and then he died, and then she got to live another life with Jen. It seems very like convenient. Like she couldn't choose, like Cassandra couldn't choose which one that she wanted Tessa to be with, instead of having like a sacrifice or whatnot. She just got to have both because Tessa lives longer as well. So that's the only part I didn't like about the book. Like as from a rereading perspective, it's like, oh, she just gets to have her cake and eat it too. Got it. Got it. Tessa's the chosen one. Cool. Much like Clare is. I give this one a 4. I mean, it didn't wow me. It was just rereading it to understand like Sarah's feelings and thought processes. Then I read the book called The Housewife. While I absolutely loved it, I did give it a 4. This is by Natalie Barelli. I classified this as a thriller. It's a very much think instead of like The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secrets or whatever by Frida McFadden, this is different. In a different way. I'm not gonna say much about it because I really want you to read it. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but think instead of The Housemaid, it's The Housewife. And it was good. It was delicious. Like I was able to clock some things early on and be like, no, this is why. Oh, you dumb dumb dumb. But everything, everything happens for a reason. Read it. I thought it was good. The next book I read, which I really, really loved, is called The Hanging Tree. And no, it's not based on the Jennifer Lawrence Katniss song about the hanging tree from Hunger Games. This is by Irina Shapiro. This is a Nicole Rathburn. That's her series, and it's on Audible right now. It's free, and it's only included until September 17th, so I gotta make up time. You're gonna hear a lot about this series over the next couple weeks because I really want to read those books because they're really good. I thought it's like almost like a historical fiction in a way. I just don't know how historical it is, so I just labeled it as fiction. But Nicole is a writer. She ends up going to this retreat. She doesn't really know what she wants to write, and then she gets there and she finds out that this manor that they're having this retreat at is a has like a resident ghost, and so she looks at more about this ghost, and so the story is told from both Alice, aka the ghost, perspective as well as Nicole's perspective at the writing retreat. And every time we get the Atlas perspective, it is written from like 1640-ish, 1630-ish time frame. So you get two different stories going at the same time, and I just thought it was really well written. I did give this a 4 though, so it didn't blow me out of the water, but I thought it was still really well written. The next one was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So this is by Ken Kesey. I read this because in the Hidden Valley Ranch book, they mentioned One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I was like, oh yeah, duh, that's a book. It's also a movie. Jack Nicholson's in it. I haven't seen the movie, but I was like, oh, let me just read the book. It was meh. It was like, even though the plots are completely different, it felt like The Green Mile by Stephen King, but like less, like a great value version. Ooh. It's about a man who basically pleads insanity and gets put into an institution, even though he's absolutely sane. He was just avoiding prison time, and like how he goes through this and like makes friends, doesn't make friends, gets lobotomized, like some weird shit. And this is where the Nurse Ratched comes in. There's a spin-off, I think it's HBO, called Nurse Ratched or just Ratched, um, with oh my god, what's her name? She's in all of the scary coven things. What was that really old lady's partner? I can't remember. But she's the prequel nurse, and like it goes through how she became the crazy nurse that we see in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It wasn't as good. Again, I think there's a lot of hype over like classic books or books written like in a certain time period, and I didn't find this compelling. I gave it a 3. Probably should give it a 2, but I just gave it a 3. It's very middle of the road. And the last book, actually, I just finished today, so huzzah. It is The Chalice of the Gods by Rick Riordan. So this is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. It's called the Senior Year Files or whatever, like adventures. And so in this one, Ganymede comes to Percy because well, let's back up. Percy Jackson is in his senior year of high school and he wants to go to college with Annabeth in New Rome, and that's in California. And so in order to do that, there has been some stipulations made, especially for Percy, because it's always got to be about that. Percy has to get 3 recommendations from 3 different gods with an asterisk. We'll talk about that. And so his dad Poseidon puts like help wanted posters, basically like, hey, you have a quest, you need somebody to help you out, contact my son Percy, he has to do them, you have to give him a recommendation, like all that kind of stuff. So Ganymede comes to Percy and is like, I lost the chalice, my whole purpose is literally to be the cupbearer of Zeus, and I lost the cup, can you help me? And so Percy has to figure out where this cup is, and he talks to a couple different goddesses, Hebe and Iris, and then we get to a new one that I hadn't heard of, to be honest, but the god of old age. It's like Gyaramis or something. I don't know. Gear is in it, and like that's how apparently we get geriatric. I don't know. But the god of old age and how he defeats old age. It made me want to cry. I didn't cry, but I was like, oh, hits me in the feels. Rick Riordan still has his magic. He is still T. He is still great. Still the same old Percy Jackson snark and attitude, and I loved it. It was really great to get back into this world with Percy and Annabeth. Ended up giving that a 4 because again, didn't blow me away, but it was such a feel good to be back in that universe. So Super great. Things I'm reading now. I don't have anything that I'm reading at the moment because again I just finished Chalice of the Gods, but things that I do have in my Libby are Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter, as well as an Academic Affair by Jodi McAllister. So I got those two, and then obviously gonna finish all of the Irina Shapiro books before they're gone from Audible for good. So that's what I've got going. I'm nervous because there's a book in my Kindle that I haven't finished or started. Because I don't because it's been such a long time coming. So I love the Ice Planet Barbarians, Ice Planet Clones, Ice Planet, our Ice Home books, and so this is the next installment in the Ice Planet Clones series called Vexing Valmir. And I know I'm gonna finish it at like record top speed, and I don't she hasn't finished like the rest of that series, so I'm like slow rolling that because those books are so good. I don't want it to be over. I don't want to have to because I waited a long time for Vexing Valmir to come out. And I say a long time. I waited like 2 months, but that's because I finally just fucking caught up with all of those books. I read so many of Ruby Dixon's books, um, and so I know that the next one isn't coming out anytime soon. So I'm like, damn. I just want to keep it secret, keep it safe. But that's all I've got. Questions, comments, concerns, things you didn't like, things that you want to hear more about, let me know. Um, yeah. Thanks for coming to Lowdown with Lyss. Love ya. I'll see you next time. Bye.